Hello again. We get the white pieces this time, and our opponent has beat me twice before. From Chile. Ooh, let's go with. I don't want to play King's Gambit against an opponent that highly rated. Maybe, I don't know, it might be worth it. But let's go back to our Scotch Gambit. Okay. The move here is either advances to invite this move or to castle, I think is the other option. And I think I like castles here. Okay. Now I can pin the knight, and that invites this move, but I can take it and develop my knight. I think this is some kind of gambit, but I don't remember. Or what it's called. Nackmanson, maybe? Uh, Scotch Gambit, Anderson attack. Okay. I've got this discovered pin here, but his intention is to castle immediately. Um, I'd love to play something like this, but pawn takes. If the pawn wasn't here, that would be a king and queen fork. And if I do something like develop the bishop to attack it and entice it, he castles anyway. He, of course, would not take the bishop because that would be a blunder to forks king and queen here. So if I play here and he castles, I'm not really threatening anything. The bishop's not pinned anymore. I can't take the pawn. That doesn't seem to work. Attacking the queen doesn't work because, well, the bishop would be pinned. The bishop would be pinned, so I could attack the queen here. But what's my follow-up? What about just developing the knight here? Then castles and what? What's my follow-up? Hmm. I don't see any good discover options. So what if I just developed the bishop? Bishop here, threatening the bishop. Can't take because that allows me to win the queen with a discovered check. He'd have to castle first. So bishop here, castles, bishop takes, queen, could take, because I don't think I have a good discovery. Knight here would get maybe that's a decent discovery. All right, I'm gonna develop the bishop. I'm gonna do it here because I don't want to waste too much time thinking on this move. And this seems like an okay option. Black's got a problem on how to develop the light squared bishop. He castles, so I will take. And if he takes with the knight, I get the pawn back that I gambited. If queen takes, I still get the pawn back. I got a pair of knights in an open board position. So I have a lead in development though, so maybe a slight edge, if not entirely equal. That was I think, his only option. If I take with the knight, does he have the opportunity to pin me? He's attacking that twice. I have to defend with the bishop or the pawn, the short bishop. And he doesn't have any more attackers until he moves this knight. And that would give me plenty of time to get out of the way. So knight takes as an option. My other option might be a discovered attack on the queen here. But I don't know if that's a great choice. I'm not lined up. If my queen were here and I were already lined up on that, maybe. Definitely, because that'd be threatening mate and the queen. So if I go here to prepare that, see, he doesn't have knight attacks, queen, because maybe no, I don't, because then knight takes here. So queen here, preparing my discover, knight here. Yeah, I hate to play moves that I'm just kind of um, seeing if my opponent will fall into a trap, kind of. But if I go here and he brings his knight forward to attack, I just drop the queen back and keep the pawn protected, and I don't think I'm any worse off. So I'm going to do this, and his knight will be easily chased off from this square, I think. Um, this move or this move would stunt me. He's got a bishop development there, pinning the knight. Then I do take. I think I take the pawn, threaten this. He'll have to take, and I take back and unpinning. But I've given him development. He attacks the queen with the rook. I have to keep the knight protected, so I just back up maybe. Yeah, this is the obvious reply to that that I neglected to think about. So bishop f5 and knight takes pawn. If rook pins, then c3 defends. Knight takes, pawn takes. Leaves me with an isolated queen pawn. Oh, that was an option I didn't consider. Hmm. If I develop the knight, if I move the knight forward and I allow him to take my queen, I take, where does he retreat? That the knight's safe over here or over here. Okay. Then I pick up the c pawn. He'd have to take because I'd be threatening mate and winning the knight. So knight here, knight takes, rook takes, and I'm on the 7th. The knight's still attacked. He's got to retreat the knight. Oh, he's got this square as well. But either way, I pick up this pawn and leave him with an isolated pawn to attack. Sold myself on that move. Hmm. So the threat's mate, gotta be answered. He can only do that by blocking, and if he does that, oh, he can block with the knight. That's an option, but then he loses the queen. Blocks with the pawn, he loses the knight. So the only real option is to take the queen. Allow me to take back. He's winning this pawn as well. I don't know why tactics are so difficult for me to see today, but he wins this pawn. Then I win this pawn. That really misplaces his knight. I mean, his knight is going to be forced back here. That might give me some time to coordinate against f2, f7. Bring my knight here, and I have a rook. A rook and two knights versus the f7 pawn, but then he forks. Yeah, and that's just bad for me, so perhaps just rounding up this pawn and I up this pawn. So this knight would be driven to the edge of the board after I bring a rook here. I don't think I can trap. Maybe I can trap. You can bring the, no, that's protected. It's not on the edge, might be trapped there. Hmm. Knight here. Rook attacks. Okay, so that was the only option, I think. And now if he takes here, I take here. And his knight has nowhere to go except here. So if he takes a tempo to develop, maybe he brings his bishop out. I attack the knight, knight comes back. I attack the knight again. And he brings the knight back to b6. Okay. Still a pretty useless piece, perhaps. Plus, I'm going to pick up. He can advance this pawn. But if he does, I attack the knight first and drive it away from this. So no, I don't think he can. I'm just going to pick up this pawn. Maybe he brings a rook over to protect the pawn. But then he drops the f7 pawn. So if he develops the bishop, I take the central pawn. Maybe I think about taking the b pawn. He's up a pawn at the moment. So he hits the knight. Where is my knight going to go? I'll bring it back here, I think. Then he can protect the central pawn. Yeah, so if I bring the knight off, he's got this because I don't have a double attack on this anymore. But what if I ignore it? What if I attack his knight in response? If he takes, I take the knight. He doesn't have time to start a back rank threat, I don't think, without me having time to build Luft. So rook b1, pawn takes, rook takes. This is hanging, so maybe f6 helps his light square bishop out a lot. He defends his pawn, but then I pick up the center pawn. And materials equal, and I have split pawns to deal with, and he has doubled pawns to deal with. Hmm. But versus my knight versus his bishop is not not an exciting endgame for me, I don't think. So I don't want to help him. I think pieces coming off the board benefits him because there'll be my split 2 on 2, and then these 3 over here. The bishop will be more active in the endgame than my knight, I think. And for that reason, I think I'm just going to save the knight. That did let me come back here, though. The rook's protecting the pawn behind. So what if I just attack the bishop? And I'm still on the f7 pawn now. He can bring the bishop back. I can attack it again. I don't understand why he put the bishop there. The bishop on g4, I think, was the better move, but that still let me take the central pawn back. I think he's trying to keep material, and I don't think he can afford to. Yeah, I don't understand the purpose of this bishop move. Well, it has 820, and I've got 607. I don't see it. I mean, he needs to protect the bishop. He can move it back this on this diagonal. All the way back here would create some back rank problems for me again. So just thinking about that move. Now, if I take the time to collect this pawn, he skewers a pair of knights. Don't think I have the time to pick up this pawn. I would have to defend this pawn. Yeah, and if he takes, I take back, and I have a back rank problem. He attacks the knight, trying to stack, create Luft. He gets to stack rooks. I'd win this pawn, and somewhere in there. I think that's my move. I think I just win back my material here. Yep, and then I defend here. If I defended from the other side, he could kick me with a pawn, and that would have been bad. So he can take, I can take, and then I think I've got time to create Luft. Oh no, he could not. He can't come down here to attack because I have this fork. Okay. That's not an option. This would be protected by the knight, the rook. He could try to come all the way down here and attack. The second, that's what I meant to do. This rook's protecting here, and I can create lift in the middle. I might not even attack the knight, help it get to this square, because this is the only place it's going right now anyway. Just bring my knight over to the my rook over to the E file. I wouldn't want to bring it opposite. The knight's guarding that anyway. But even if the knight moves away, I won't want to bring it here because that pins this, but don't have to worry about that now. So now I need to create lift. The only move he's got is right here, because if he comes here, I fork with this particular rook. If he wants to try and invade on the second, he can do that, but I get a chance to create lift here. It does have this move for the knight now. And if the king's right here, this would be a pin. The knight's here currently, though. I don't want to back that knight up until he puts the question to me. I want this fork to stay available as long as I can. So I think the only real option here is just to make some running room for my king. I'm down to 355. Opponent has 510. Okay. He has stacked the rooks. If he comes to the back, I don't really, I can bring the knight back now to protect that square. He brings the knight in to try and trade off knights. And that also attacks here. Could bring the rook all the way over for to protect this f pawn. That would create a pin if I lifted my king, though, a fork and a pin. Knight here, knight here. Time pressure. The only way to come out of this, I think, is to stay active. Could have here now attacking the pawn. So I thought here maybe just bringing the king in. That helps get my king closer to the center of the board. And then if rook takes, king takes, rook d1, king to e2. Then I suppose there's rook a1. Rook takes b7. End games. Oh, interesting. He's offering trade of rooks. I take here and he takes. What do I really have here? Could threaten the knight, but pawn's defended. I'm going to check and then attack the rook. Also protect this pawn. Frees this rook up to move, so I don't have to stay on this. It's not attacked at the moment, but it is keeping the knight out of here. But now the knight is also doing a good job of that. I would. His rook isn't forced off the 7th, though. Okay. He had to improve that piece as his worst piece. So should have been expected. You come here and attack my rook. I'm going to come here. To keep the knight out of this square and this square. I know my knight has them as well, but from here the rook was supporting. There's no kicking the knight out here unless he goes backwards. And then I got a fork. So how do I make improvement? Push forward the H pawn. Doesn't seem to accomplish much. Doesn't seem to be a lot of play left in this position. And with the split pawns, I am at a slight disadvantage. My only equalizer is my knight is better than his, and it's keeping his at bay. I have a more active rook as well. If I try to attack his weak pawn, he pushes forward. I don't know what else to do though. Oh, are we gonna go for a repeat of position? Nope, he's gonna try and improve his knight. From here, he can get here. It might be time to, I don't know. He comes here, I can push this forward one. So I will do that. Might be restricting my own knight a little bit, or my own rook a little bit. The moment here, I have this move offering to swap them off, though. And I think if we get the rooks off the board, it's pretty hard to do anything but draw, except for time. Well, let's just advance this one and try to create threats over here. He can't push this. See, hang this. Can pin my knight. Okay. Pin my knight. He does want to trade rooks. I think we might be drawing this game. Just does not seem to be a lot of play left. You might have something on this pawn now. He attacks it. I advance it. He takes. At least I stick him with doubled pawns. Then I've got to run out here to try and stop him. Wow. Okay. Give him this check, but he doesn't get to this very easily. And if he trades off all these pawns, all he ever really has to do is trade off this knight for this pawn. Maybe I've got something here, though, if he lets me get this. I don't know if he can stop that now. I think I might have him here. No, I don't even worry about it. He takes, I take back. He pushes. He tries to run in. I stop him from getting. Oh, no, it doesn't stop him from getting here. I think mine's faster, though. Hmm. I attack the knight. Does he just sack it? Knight takes. King here. Knight here to attack this. I might be in trouble. Don't know about this. Oh, I think I can. No, I can just sack the knight for the pawn. He takes. I take with check. He comes back to defend the pawn, maybe, and I just take it. And then I've got two runners. But I think he just has to sack the knight for the pawn over here. I think it's a draw. Because the king can stop this pawn. So I go here to check and then run. Check him again. Now the king still gets in front. Check. King here. Check. King f6. And then this pawn runs. So it's a draw. Yeah, because I'm going to get to the back with check. Or not check. It's a stalemate. Well, I held the draw. I suppose um, that's better than a loss, but I felt like I was playing pretty well. I played it with 92.4% accuracy, but I played that one for a long time. That's pretty good accuracy for 70 moves, though. And I did have the advantage. I had almost a 4 point advantage that I didn't cash in on. Where did I mess it up? Where did I go wrong? I do like this opening. There was chances. I think White had good chances. I'm very pleased that that was the best move also. I spent some time thinking on that. Okay. So this move I didn't really feel great about. Um, Probably wanting me to just unleash the Discover immediately, but I tried to get cute and set this up um, on H7 with the Discover attack on the Queen when I move the Knight. I was wondering about this move though. I should probably just take my material back. That is the best move, taking back the material. And this was an inaccuracy by Black. And I think he should have just come here to attack the Queen. That was the move that I was expecting. Uh, but I felt like I was okay still, just moving the Queen back. I give up initiative, but okay. And this was another inaccuracy by me. Rather than going for it, I should probably take the Knight. Now takes. And what's the threat? Knight anywhere, but not where the Queen can take it. So no real good discovers. Maybe just stack knights or rooks. Someday I'll learn what the pieces are called. Forgive me, I'm still working on what the squares are called. Okay, well, that wasn't Black's best response either. I felt like I had pretty good chances in here, though. What did it want me to do there? Attack. Okay, I was looking at that counter. Misevaluated it, though. And this move, that move, I felt like was a mistake in game. Um, because it allowed that. Now I've got my material back. Everything is gravy, but this move, this is a mistake on my part. Retry this. If not creating Luft, what? Well, maybe a different. No, it wants me to move the rook. Attack. That's not a real attack, though, because I have to deal with the back rank first. Maybe I'll just bring it all the way over here. It's good, but the best one's here. Yeah. I think I come to that conclusion later. He missed an opportunity here to attack this. Right. There's a point coming up where I build up a nice advantage, but I fail to convert it. This was a mistake. This isn't even where my real advantage is. I'm up 3.3 here, and I get sidetracked doing other things, and I misevaluate this position. I, I felt like I was up earlier, but here I wasn't so sure. This felt drawish because he's going to get this pawn, and then it's a race, and all he has to do is sacrifice this knight for this pawn on the race, and it does not seem like my knight gets back in time to stop this king pawn duo. That was the best move. Attack the knight. Excellent move. Okay, great. This is a mistake that takes it all the way back to equal drawn position just from this move. I go from almost a 4-pawn advantage to dead zeros. And my idea here should be to sack this pawn. It's the best move. Clearly the best move. Thinking about it now makes total sense. I just sacrifice the pawn because now he's got to bring the bishop or the knight back. I take, and he can't touch this. So I take, he takes, and then what? I come in with the king, he clears the way. Come in with the king, he marches forward. I'll look at the analysis here. Ah, my endgame needs so much work. So this is saying knight takes is the best move. King takes c5. King takes h4. d6. Says the knight can catch. The other d6. d4 is best. It said d6 on the eval bar. King d6 right there. Pretty much the same though. G4, E5. This is protected. How do I catch the thing? Definitely not that way. Well, it says it's a clear win, and I clearly need work on my end game. But it was nice to get the draw, I suppose. I hope you enjoyed that game. Come back and visit my channel for some more chess.